The US has actually conducted a strike on Venezuelan territory for the first time since this whole debacle has started with Venezuela and the US. We've been kind of lingering on these videos and looking at the Venezuelan military. Listen, I plan to just do a simple video. I was going to watch Habitual, whatever he's called, his video. What's it called? Habitual line crossover. I was going to watch his video on the difference between the military of Venezuela and the US. And as I was about to start, I got the news through that the US has conducted a strike on Venezuelan territory. This is actually a massive development. Listen, this has happened in the past 24 to 48 hours, and so news is slowly trickling in, but I'm going to give you everything that I know so far. Before we get started, as always, though, check out Chug, 10% off, link down below for the best drinking vessel in the world if you want to look like an absolute badass while drinking your drink around the fire or while you watch something like Band of Brothers. Imagine drinking this while watching Band of Brothers. You can pull the inside out, put it in your dishwasher to protect your wood. Got to protect your wood. Free customization, free bag, 10% off, link down below. Also, check out Morale, my new business. If you haven't seen, I started a drinks business, and the goal of this drink is to get people outside. It's as simple as that. And it tastes incredible. If you're in the US, you can't get it just yet. Just bear that in mind. It's only available in the UK, but we are going to try and get it available in the US next year. And when I say next year, I mean 2026, which is literally in a few hours. So we're going to try and get it done this year / next year. We're going to try and get it done in 2026. Okay, let's talk about what has happened. Let me give you some overview on it, and we can kind of go from there and theorize, okay? So in the past few days, Donald Trump, the president of the United States, has confirmed that the US struck a dock / port facility in Venezuela. He said that this port is a place where these individuals are loading up the boats that the US has been destroying over the past few months. They've been loading up these boats with narcotics, and this is kind of like a hub for this area. It was specifically the CIA that has done it using drones, okay? So I think that's quite important to say, because this isn't like a typical military strike. We're talking about the CIA here. They're using drones. I've got a few ideas on what it could be, because they haven't said about what equipment or missiles that were used. I'm guessing something like the MQ-9 Reaper. I think that might be something that they would have used, along with something like the AGM-114 Hellfire variant. Maybe. Like, I'm theorizing here, do you know what I mean? Like, we're throwing stuff at the wall here that it could have been. They're also saying that there has been no deaths. However, from the past few months, when the US has been conducting strikes on these vessels going to the US with narcotics on, it's been quite commonplace now that there has been casualties. I think it's been over 100 people have died so far. It's saying here on my notes, 107 have died with these attacks on the vessels that the US is doing, which has been happening now since like early September. But let me pull this up. I've got this article here by Ground News, which if you don't know who these are, they're absolutely fantastic. They do unbiased news, and they give you a breakdown on who's talking about this, so you can know whether it's coming from the left or the right or whatever. And it's a really good place for unbiased information. But let's read through this here, and we can get a better understanding, okay? Last week, President Donald Trump acknowledged a CIA strike on the Venezuelan port facility targeting a storage site run by the Tren de Agua gang. I probably absolutely butchered that, didn't I? Linked by the administration to Nicolas Maduro without public evidence. Months of naval and strike activity, including the U.S. naval buildup in the Caribbean, which the Trump administration links to efforts against Maduro. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, according to officials. Trump said there was a major explosion in a dock area where they load the boats up with drugs. CNN reporter, the strike used a drone, and sources said no one was killed in the port facility attack on Monday. So it is now currently Wednesday. So this happened 2 days ago. Observers noted Maduro has not acknowledged the strike and predicted more confrontation, while Representative Adam Smith said the CIA attack sharpened US pressure and raised thorny questions Tuesday. Critics warn the campaign raises legal and constitutional alarms and may bypass ordinary constraints, suggesting the White House could be given itself power to act with impunity under the Monroe Doctrine. Trump corollary. Listen, whether or not you agree that this is legal, I think we have to talk about the moral stance of this as well. Like, we're talking about individuals that are bringing narcotics into America and are destroying families. They're destroying lives. If you live in America, you've seen it. I traveled around America for years. I lived in America for 9 years and traveled, and I've seen the progression over them 9 years. I moved to America in 2015, and I left at the end of 2023. And I've seen the progression over them years where I would be able to go to a park and it was beautiful and it was nice. And by the time I was leaving America, then parks were filled with homeless people in tents and people walking around like zombies. It was horrific to see. The worst place I saw it was unfortunately California. It felt like you were either homeless on the side of the road, acting like zombies, or you were driving a sports car. There was no middle. The middle class was completely gone. You were either rich or poor. That is it. And it was really sad to see. And so I can see why this administration's being like, no, we need to stop these drugs from getting into the country. Like, that's a valid point. Whether you agree with Trump or not, if you're left or right, I don't really care. I think we can all agree that this needs to be fixed in some way. The question is, are these strikes an effective way of doing it? Venezuela cannot fight America. We've seen that in yesterday's video. The Venezuelan military is... I mean, it's nothing. There's nothing there, basically, right? There's barely anything available to them. They've got a few bits of kit here and there. They've got less than 1 million soldiers in total around the whole of their military. Their equipment's old. Like, we're talking it would be guerrilla warfare if they went to war with America, and it just wouldn't be a thing, let's be honest. And we can break it down, in fact. What we might do is, not tomorrow, but the day after, maybe I will watch that video that was done by Habitual Line Crossover. It was the top comment in my previous video saying that I should watch it. And so we'll probably watch that in the next few days so we can get a really deeper breakdown of the Venezuelan military. But I think this is massive. This is officially the first attack on Venezuelan soil, right? This is done on a dock. I've got this map up. If you've been following my content for quite some time, you'll know about this map. We use this live feed to go over the current events over in Ukraine and Russia. And obviously there's not as much going on here, right? Like, we're going to be seeing most of the news coming from here. We're seeing classified images of strikes happening on vessels. They're all around this area. We know there is a large presence of US Navy in this vicinity. We know this now. For those of you who don't know, maybe you're watching this and you're not a US citizen, maybe you don't know. Venezuela is located right here in South America. This is where the United States are. This is Venezuela right here. And you can see by the size of the country compared to the size of the UK, it is not that big of a country. It really isn't that big. And their military is even smaller. Now, the sources on the right-hand side here for their news, it just says that the Trump administration bombed a facility in Maracaibo, Venezuela, which I've not been able to locate, because when you do click on that, it just goes from where the source has come from, where the news has come from. But as you can see here, there's a lot of small islands. There's a lot of places here where small vessels can get out of the area. They can load up incognito and disappear if they really wanted to. And so the theory on what's happening is these small vessels are moving from Venezuela and they're going up towards Florida and the Gulf Coast around here and basically dropping off the narcotics and getting them within the United States. Some of them coming out on the outside here as well. That is kind of the gist of it. And the US has said, we don't like that. We're going to start destroying the vessels. And that's where the vessels get destroyed, is around this area here. So what does this mean? What does this mean for the United States? Here's the video, by the way, of Trump actually acknowledging what happened.
There was a major explosion in the dock area where they load the boats up with drugs. They load the boats up with drugs. So we hit all the boats, and now we hit the area. It's the implementation area. That's where they implement, and that is no longer around.
Listen, I think the I had to do that pose you're doing. I think that he's trying to nip it in the bud here so they don't have to shoot the boats, which is fine, right? I get that, but it is Venezuelan territory. They're not giving evidence, right? The big debate right now is, are these boats actually carrying narcotics? Is this facility actually got narcotics in it? Are they actually loading up this stuff in this area? The truth is, we actually don't know because they're keeping that information close to the chest. This is the CIA we're talking about. And the truth is, I don't even know whether the CIA will 100% know that's on there. They're probably doing this through a process of elimination. They're probably looking at the boats they've attacked, seeing where it's coming from, and been like, this is the place. We need to destroy this place. Whether you agree with that or not, that's a massive question. That is a massive question. Some of the notes I've got here, why this matters. This report strike represents that it might be the first direct land operation in Venezuela linked to the United States during this broader operation. Honestly, I'm going to say this as a theory, and you can let me know in the comments whether you believe this or not. I don't think this is the first attack on Venezuelan soil. I think there has been incognito stuff going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. SF have probably already got boots on the ground. CIA most definitely have boots on the ground over there. We probably have eyes on these facilities. We probably have troops on the ground that they don't like. It's sneaky beaky, right? It's special forces. So you're not going to know that it's actually happening, and we'll never know that it's happened. Maybe in 50 years, if there's a book wrote about it, we might finally know. But this is the first public strike on Venezuelan territory. It comes part of an expanded U.S. operation, sometimes referred to in the reporting as Operation Southern Spear, which is focused on alleged drug trafficking networks in the Caribbean and the Pacific. The U.S. administration frames these actions as part of the war on drugs and pressure on Maduro's government. Though critics argue it's constitutionally illegal, escalation and raises serious questions under international law. I'd love to know your thoughts. It was a quick video, this. I wanted to get the news out there. This is massive developing news. In the military kind of sphere, this is massive. They've officially done an attack on Venezuelan soil, and it's 2026 is only just beginning. Is it going to get worse? Is it going to de-escalate? Is this going to help de-escalation? Or is this going to make tensions even higher? I'd love to know your theories as we go into 2026. Listen, it's New Year's Eve. Relax. Get yourself a bevy. Fill up your chug, all right? If you haven't got one, link down below. Fill up your chug. Relax. Maybe switch off some of this news and just be with your family. You know, get your notebook out, get your journal out, start jotting down some goals for 2026 to make yourself a better person. Maybe just get yourself that little bit fitter if you can. Protect yourself a little bit more. Maybe have thoughts about what happens if it does get worse. How are you going to protect yourself and your family? And I'm not trying to scaremonger. There's always something that's going on in my head. And maybe that's just because I'm former military. I have that thing in my head where it's like, if it kicks off, what do we do? What do we do? Where do we go? What do we have? Right? And I'm not saying that you should be sat there worrying about this stuff, but, you know, have some fun about it. You know, discuss with your family a safe code. That's another thing. A safe word. You need a safe word. With the rise of AI and all this other stuff, people can now make phone calls sounding like a family member. You and your family members need a safe word. All right? Something that only you lot will know. And you'll know whether it's a true emergency if that's the case. And then sit back, forget about all this, stick on Black Hawk Down, Band of Brothers, Dunkirk, stick on a good war film. We need a good war film in 2026, don't we? Stick on a good war film and chill. All right? Enjoy the last few moments, and I'll see you in 2026. It's going to be a good one. Buy yourself some morale, get yourself some chug, link down below. Until next time, I love you all. Have a wonderful New Year's. Goodbye.